It's 8:45 on May the 13th. It's Thursday. We're back in state of Florida versus Zachary Wester. Mr. Williams and Mr. Davis have thought about how we're going to proceed forward today. We're going to go ahead and take care of Turner first. So Turner's going to be our first witness today. And we've got some of our court staff that will be dealing with the courtroom, making sure some things are taken care of after she testifies. So we're going to do her, then we're going to probably take a 10-minute recess and then do our next witness. But Turner will be our first witness today. And we're going to keep everybody out of the witness room until she is done and out of the building, and our court staff can take care of the court's needs today. Mr. Williams, anything else before we bring the jury in this morning?
Judge, there will be no exhibits published on the courtroom's technology with Ms. Turner, but just for our purposes, Ms. Bittner and I have come in here and we've made sure that it is working properly this morning.
Okay, thank you, counsel. Mr. Davis, anything from you?
No, sir.
Mr. Davis, do you want any additional, you can move something, add something? Is there any?
That's what I was just looking over here, Judge. I didn't know if there was.
We can take one of these and add it if you want an additional feature there, sir. We can take one of these if you're looking for something additional.
Well, I was actually thinking maybe for.
Let's do that. Let's go ahead and bring her in. I'm going to go ahead and bring her in before we bring the jury in too this morning.
And then take the jury.
Come on up, Ms. Turner. Thank you, ma'am. Let's go ahead and bring our jury in.
All rise.
Good morning. Please come to rest. It's good to see our jurors this morning. We're going to kind of go in an unusual order today. We're going to go ahead and take our first witness. Then we're going to take about a 5-minute break, 5-10-minute break. So we're going to do a witness. The court's got business it's got to take care of after this witness. So we're going to take about a 5-10-minute break. And then we will be back into our normal routine. I apologize for the jumping around, but I do want to give you a heads up. It's going to be a little out of order. It's going to be a witness break, and then we'll probably do about an hour worth of witnesses and then take our second break of the morning. And again, I apologize for the staggered start today. Let's go ahead and swear our first witness in. Ma'am, if you'll stand up, please, and raise your right hand, Mr. Clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you, ma'am. You can be seated. Ms. Turner, a couple things today. If you'll speak up so everybody can hear you. Second thing is if you hear an objection, pause your testimony. Let me hear what the objection is, and I'll instruct you, okay?
Okay.
All right, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you state your name for the record?
It's Maria Thompson.
Now, ma'am, could you,
I'm sorry, what was your name?
It's Maria Thompson.
Thompson, not Turner. I apologize,
It
ma'am.
was Turner at the time.
It was Turner.
Yes,
It is
sir.
Thompson now. Okay,
Thompson.
thank you for that. Can you spell it for me, ma'am?
It's THOMPSON.
Thompson. Thank you, ma'am.
and ma'am, do you, just so we're hearing each other very well, would you do your best to scoot maybe a little bit closer to the microphone? Thank you so much. Mrs. Thompson, do you recall getting pulled over by a sheriff's deputy here in Jackson County, July 14th of 2017?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall the car that you were riding in when you were pulled over?
Yes, sir. It was a Ford F-150.
Was it your car?
No, sir. It was my fiance's vehicle at the time.
And how often would you either ride or drive in that vehicle at that time?
Pretty often we would switch out depending on where he had to work, the distance he had to drive at the time, because we had a truck and a car. But I had been driving it for probably the last month or so.
Now, on the day that you were pulled over, was there anyone in the car with you?
No, sir.
Okay, so of course, then you were the driver, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, when you were pulled over, did the sheriff's deputy who pulled you over make contact with you?
Yes.
Did he tell you the reason for the stop?
Yes, he said that he pulled me over because when he passed me, he smelled the aroma of marijuana.
Okay. Well, let me ask this. Had you been smoking marijuana in the car at that time?
No, sir.
Did you just have a chance to notice or recognize if the car smelled like marijuana to you?
No, it did not to me.
Were the windows open at the time of the stop?
I had the driver's side cracked because I was smoking a cigarette.
All right, so you were smoking a cigarette.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'd like to ask you specifically about how it was that you realized there was the deputy pulling you over. Would you describe kind of how you were driving and at what point you first realized that you were being pulled over?
All right, well, I was leaving Highway 69, turning right onto Highway 90, going from Grand Ridge to Mariana. We passed each other like this,
Going opposite directions?
going opposite
is how it
directions
did-
on Highway 90.
Okay.
When he passed me, I was not speeding. I had basically just taken off from the light. So I was going probably about 45, 50 miles an hour. I seen the brake lights hit, and when I looked in my mirror, I seen the lights that he was turning around to get me. So I pulled over.
Now, when he made contact with you and was telling you about the odor of marijuana, did you tell him whether or not there was any marijuana in the car?
Absolutely. I told him there was no way that I had not been smoking marijuana, that there's just no way. That the only thing I had been smoking was the cigarette.
Now, you were on probation at the time of this stop, correct?
Yes, sir. And I had been for quite some time. I had not been in any trouble
Okay.
since then.
Well, yeah, just one answer at a time, so let me get there. But you were on probation at that time, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And did you tell him that? Did that come up during the course of this stop, that you were on probation?
Absolutely.
All right. And specifically drug probation?
Yes, drug offender probation.
All right. At some point during this stop, did this deputy perform a search of the car?
Yes.
Okay. How did that happen? How did it get to the point to where he was searching your car?
Once he was told that I was on probation, he detained me
Okay.
for my safety. He put me in the back of his car,
All right.
and then he then performed to search the truck.
Was there any other deputy on scene at that point?
There was never another deputy on scene.
Were you while you were in his patrol car detained, were you able to see him searching your car?
Yes, sir.
Were you specifically, though, able to see the inside or the interior of the car and what particular areas inside of the car he was searching?
Now, I was sit behind the truck, so I could honestly not see inside my truck at this point. I could only see what side of the vehicle that he was on.
And during that search, you mentioned that he came back to his patrol car to place you in it, correct?
Correct.
Did you see him returning from from your car, going back to his patrol car during that search?
Yes. He went first to the driver's side and searched. He then went back to his trunk, the trunk of his car, and went back to my car, or my truck, I'm sorry.
When was the first time that he told you he had found something when he was searching your car? Was it before or after he had gone back to his patrol car?
After.
All right. What did he tell you he found?
He come back from the passenger side, and he said that he found a container that had a crystal-like substance that looked like methamphetamine.
Did he show you the container?
He did show me the container. It was in his hand.
Did you recognize it?
I honestly can't remember if I did or didn't at that time. I just knew that he was, saying something to me that my mind was just a flutter. I just knew that there wasn't anything in my car, and he was telling me there was.
Okay. Well, and just to be clear, do you remember any kind of the white substance, or what he described to you, anything like that in your car at that time?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Did you later have a chance to get a better look from him during the stop of that container to see if you recognized the container?
It looked to me like maybe a candy or gum container. I have small children at the time, and it looked like the kind that you put, the gum comes in, and it, you know, just the plastic container that the gum comes in.
Now, we've already said it, but you were on drug probation at
Right.
that time. Would you have ever kept drugs at that time in the type of container that you were just describing, a child's candy container?
Absolutely not.
Do you recall whether or not you were able to see if the if the deputy performed a field test kit, a roadside test to see if something changed colors or not?
He did perform one of those.
Okay, you saw him do that?
I was able to see him. I moved over in the back seat of the vehicle to the right side of the window, and I was able to see him doing it at this point.
Do you recall him showing you whether or not that field test kit turned a color or something noteworthy about it?
He did not show me,
Okay.
but I could see it.
Did you see anything change color in the kit from your vantage point?
No, all I could see was he put something in the container. I'm not really sure how these tests work, though. In the thing, like he clicked it shut and shook it. When he shook it, nothing happened or changed. When he looked over and seen that I could see him, he dumped the test out.
Let me ask you this, and you've already answered it, but we'll make this clear. You've said you don't really know how they perform, correct?
Right,
You're just observing what you saw.
Right.
And you were in his patrol car when he was doing this.
correct.
Okay. Did he ever tell you that he observed it to change color?
He did say that it tested positive and that I was going to jail.
Okay. And were you taken to jail?
I was.
Just a moment, Judge. Did he ever show you the inside of the container where he said he found that substance?
Not that I can recall.
That's all, Judge.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Davis?
Morning.
On-
And it's Maria Thompson now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. I'll make sure So Ms. Thompson, so you were arrested back on July 14th of 2017, correct?
Correct.
And the vehicle you're driving, you said was a Ford F-150,
Yes, sir.
and you were by yourself?
Yes, sir.
And you said at the time you were on drug offender probation?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Williams asked you about the container from your car, and you said you wouldn't keep drugs in something like that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, what kind of containers did you keep your drugs in?
I did not keep my drugs in containers.
Okay.
I would not have had my drugs in any, I wasn't doing drugs. I was on drug offender probation.
Right, which leads us to believe that there was a drug offense for that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what kind of container did you have your drugs in when you got arrested for that?
I did not. I was arrested for for pain pills. So they would have been in a pill bottle many years before, before that. And I was clean and sober when he pulled me over.
And have you previously been convicted of a felony?
With adjudication withheld.
And you've never used a field test kit to detect drugs, have you?
No.
You don't know how they work, do you?
No, I said that I didn't.
And have you filed any type of civil suit because of this?
I have.
That's all I have, thank you.
Mr. Williams?
Ms. Turner, did the deputy tell you specifically what it field tested positive for?
Methamphetamine.
And you said that you're involved in a civil suit. You told Mr. Davis that.
Correct.
Is that because you feel like there was a wrong done to you?
I do feel like there was absolutely a wrong done to me.
Nothing else, Judge.
Thank you, sir. Anything else, Mr. Davis?
No, sir.
All right. This time, jury, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. Like I told you, leave your blue notepads in your chairs and be back in the jury room at 9:20. Thank you.
All rise.